Good evening, Space Monkeys, and welcome to Freelancing. I'm your host, BlueHighwind, and what I have here tonight is the Oscar post-show. So, the Oscars were last night, or 2 nights ago, depending on when this goes up. I'm thinking 2 nights ago, because it's late already, and I really don't have the time. As you can tell, Freelancing is a show done to the highest levels of professionality and standards and quality, and there's just a tightly written script, and I've got so many people working on this. We are truly the highest cutting edge of YouTube podcasts. Or actually, I'm just one jackass with a microphone doing his best not to go and pick up the sounds of my shitty laptop, huffing and puffing, as once again, its fan is completely clogged. And I'm going to have to clean that, and God knows, I got too much to do. Alright, so it's the Oscars. It's the Academy Awards. It's the biggest night of the film year. If you haven't seen it, then you're not listening to this. You're not the kind of person that reads me. And if you've ended up here by mistake, I don't know what I can offer you. I have beer in the fridge. We could hang out. We could play Smash Brothers. But really, the next 20 minutes, half hour, however long this takes, it's not going to be for you. It's going to be for people who actually watch the show. And if you haven't watched the show, that's fine. You can move on with your life. I'm sure there's plenty of things on TV. I mean, if you were in England, you were watching the Top Gear episode. Congratulations on that. Maybe you were watching some other television show or going out and having real life. Real life doesn't matter here. That's why we focus on the Oscars, the moment of epitome, the highest celebration of things that are not real. Imaginary stuff, such as movies, and people who pretend to be other people in much more interesting, fantastic universes, unlike this pathetically boring reality in which we live. So, that's the Academy Awards. That's why it matters. That's why it's a lot of fun to talk about it. And as always, the show was a big, terrible, boring slog, and Neil Patrick Harris did a terrible job hosting it. Now, I don't want to be too harsh on Neil Patrick Harris, okay? Here's the thing. Nobody is ever any good hosting the Oscars. Jon Stewart wasn't any good. Ellen DeGeneres wasn't any good. Anne Hathaway and Stone James Franco were really not very good. And as for Alec Baldwin and Steve Martin, I don't talk about that show. That was awful. So, Neil Patrick Harris is a cool dude. He's beloved by all. Basically, he's one of those rare actors who is handsome and charming and funny and witty, and also is just incredibly beloved. I mean, take Ben Affleck. Right? Ben Affleck is a handsome man. Women right now are almost certainly masturbating thinking about him. Nerds right now are almost certainly masturbating thinking about him being Batman, but he's not cool. All right? I don't think Ben Affleck would be a party animal. He's not a AAA personality. Neither is really Neil Patrick Harris, but he's not, like, cool, right? Neil Patrick Harris is cool, but something about the Oscars sort of automatically, almost magically sucks away your ability to be cool, to be charming, to be witty, and unfortunately Neil Patrick Harris was very stiff and nervous and awkward, and increasingly more awkward as the night went on. So, in terms of Oscar hosts, he was probably even above average. And right on time, the news came in, and instantly everyone called him incredibly boring, and I'd hate to be him. And there really is no role out there, alright? You can think of all the jobs in the world. You could be one of those guys that's mucking up shit at the bottom of a sewer. I'd rather have that job than hosting the Oscars, because at least that job, you get more thanks for it. You flip burgers in Burger King, you might get a thank you. Nobody gives you any breaks when you're hosting the Oscars. It is a career dead zone. You never come out of it looking well. Nobody does. And if I ever had to host the Oscars, God help me, I would do a much worse job than Neil Patrick Harris did. I'd probably end up doing something like Seth MacFarlane, and basically there'd be a lot of cursing. As a matter of fact, by the time I realized that my jokes were not landing, I'd be pretty pissed at the audience. I'd take out a scotch, and I would just start fucking going nuts at people. Like, I would just start, like, I wouldn't even have any pretenses of caring about the movies getting in. Imitation Game, Oscar bait piece of shit. Did you motherfuckers even read the history books? You made it all up, you crackers. You know, I'd be mean. I'd be nasty. I'm a nasty guy. I'm not very friendly. I don't think I'm the kind of person who should be hosting this sort of thing. So I have nothing but for respect for Neil Patrick Harris for doing this, considering it was going to suck no matter what happened. And you know what? It even started well. There was a great musical number. As a matter of fact, the first 5 minutes, I'm like, oh my god, this show's going to be great. This is, you know, the Oscars generally at this point have been known to be broken for about 10 years now. And nobody really knows what to do to fix it. They just kind of roll the ball forward and just like, good enough, fine. And then the beginning of this show has this great musical number. It's really old-timey Hollywood. It's charming. It's right off of Broadway. Neil Patrick Harris is playing to his strengths, being cool, being warm, singing about movies, some great effects being done with the wall behind him, with all the moving images. They even had Jack Black show up to go and be the token cynic, which was legitimately kind of funny. And yeah, great effects, great everything. I'm really down for this. You know what? Here we go. This is going to be a good night of television about movies. And then immediately the next joke Neil Patrick Harris lands is about Oprah. And instantly crickets. And that's it. That ended him right there. He was dead on his feet from that moment on. Boom! Done. Dead. It's like, I mean, Oprah's really rich and everything. Tough crowd. Oh, man. So, anyway, and that was that. Neil Patrick Harris for the rest of the night was basically just kind of trying his best to throw in gags here and there. And, you know, occasionally the bits might get saved. Like when he went up to Steve Carell, pretending that Steve Carell was a seat warmer, which I swear to God they've done that bit before. At least twice. I don't know when, but I just got this feeling they've done it a lot. Steve Carell at least was game enough to play along. When he decides that Octavia Spencer is going to be his, I don't know, he did this kind of like magician joke or magician spell. Have you ever seen a magician? I've seen this done twice already. Once by Chris Angel, Mind Freak. Anyway, Chris Angel, Mind Freak, did this where he grabbed a random girl out of the audience and had her say all these random things. And what he had was a box that he wrote before the show started. He takes out the sheet of paper, he puts it in the box, and during the course of the show, finally he pulls it out. And what's on the paper? Everything that was written. Exactly as she predicted. It's like a psychic thing. So Neil Patrick Harris does that with his Oscar predictions. And then he has a glass box. He shoves it over and he's like, Octavia Spencer, take a look at this. You keep your eyes there. Now I really want to check to make sure that was Octavia Spencer. Okay, good. It was Octavia Spencer. Double checked. Had to be 100% sure because I do make mistakes and I am an idiot. So that makes things hard. It's really hard to try to be an entertaining internet personality when you're really stupid. So anyway, yes, it was Octavia Spencer, and she didn't even have a mic for this entire bit. Like, the camera would go over to her, and she'd be like, you know, like, I can't hear a word you're saying. All right, this didn't seem to be all that well planned if she doesn't have a mic ready. Just going with that. Anyway, they go over to the glass case at the end. They open it up, and out comes Neil Patrick Harris's predictions, and it's everything that happened during the show. And before you say that proves that the entire show was pre-staged, this is a basic magician trick. He switched it out at some point after the box was opened. That's easily done with television editing and with sleight of hand. Any magician will tell you what he did. All right, it wasn't that hard. But, yeah, the joke just, like, wore on and on and on, and I'm going on and on and on about the joke, and it's that stupid. Like, all right, I don't care. This payoff better be friggin' triumphant, and by the time it's 11:30 p.m., you're basically, like, I am in no fucking mood for payoffs and jokes at this point. I really just want you to go and list off the last 4 awards so we can all go to bed, okay? And yeah, like at this point, the only thing he could have pulled out of that box to have made it worth it was Gwyneth Paltrow's severed head. All right, that would have been great. Otherwise, no. One thing I kind of like about the Oscars, one of the few things they managed to actually do that's kind of improved things, is they've mostly cut out bad skits. They would often have these pre-taped skits. There was this really terrible one about a focus group a few years ago. I think that was during the Alec Baldwin Oscars. That was a shit show. That was terrible, but this time they only had one, and it's Neil Patrick Harris in his underwear a la Birdman, and he's walking behind the stage, and, you know, it's not nearly as funny when it's Neil Patrick Harris, who is well-toned and a god of a man, sorry, he's gay, whatever. If you're gay and you're into Neil Patrick Harris, this is a great bit for you. But what was funny about it in Birdman is that Michael Keaton is not a god or goddess of a man or a woman. He's Michael Keaton, and he's in his 60s. And he's Michael Keaton. He's an old man walking around in his underwear. You know, that's what's great about it. And the bit wasn't really working. It wasn't really doing the cinematography all that well. He walks past Miles Teller, the star of Whiplash, doing the drumming thing in kind of like Birdman's postmodern, we'll show the guy making the music as they walk by bit. And that's funny immediately because I recognize as Miles Teller, and I'm like, all right, that's one thing. That made me chuckle. Then, of course, Neil Patrick Harris has to go over to him and say, not my tempo! Not my tempo! And I'm like, oh, here we are. We're killing the joke, aren't we? So this happened several times. It had to, like, you know, they had a joke that landed, and it's like, all right, it's good, but we could make that same joke 3 times. And then it's not funny anymore. So one of the worst bits about this, and I'm sure you've heard about this already, is really badly timed jokes every so often. Like, it is the Oscar host's job to go and keep things kind of a bit of levity, but there's a moment when you make a joke and there's a moment when you don't. And Dana Perry, she was the director of the movie that won Best Short Documentary. She, during her speech, revealed that her son killed himself. And this is really dark and terrible. And, of course, the moment she starts doing this, the band started playing her off. And then the band guy's like, yeah, oh, cut, God damn it, you morons. Ooh, that was not well. And then, of course, Neil Patrick Harris, with his pre-planned joke, is like, man, that dress really took balls to wear. And I don't even get that joke now. I didn't get it at the time. And I'm like, wow, that's... Dude, you gotta let the moment be a moment, okay? And the worst one was when Laura Poitras, right after she did Citizen 4, she won for Best Documentary, Neil Patrick Harris goes over and he's like, yeah, that movie, I can see why that won for treason. I'm like, yeah, thank you. Thank you, that's utterly charming. So, and yet people still complain about Seth MacFarlane singing that song about seeing actresses' boobs. So, NPH, I'm sure you're going to have a long, very successful career of hosting shows that are not the Oscars, or hell, you might even be back, but man, did it not work. So, again, the show was very slow, and it was a rough slog by about 11 p.m. By this point, I was exhausted, just completely dead to the world by like 11 p.m. I was like, I'm 3 beers in, I've been eating, it's been a party, you know, I always like to make the Oscars an event. You know, and I'm just like, I'm dead. I'm just like, oh my God, when the hell is this thing going to end? I don't remember an Oscars being this hard to sit through. Maybe it's because I'm officially getting old, or it's because our society is completely deranged and we insist upon getting up at 7 a.m. to go to work every goddamn morning. And this just crushes our souls. Why do we do this to ourselves? What the hell is the matter with us? And I do not get paid nearly enough to go and do all that shit. Anyway, so by 11:30 p.m., the show was way over schedule. There's no way they were going to make it to midnight. As always, the same old problems had cropped up. So, you know, there's too many musical numbers. There's too many awards. The tech awards take forever. You have to have both sound mixing and sound editing, as if anybody actually knows what they are. And I do say this in all seriousness, they are massively important awards that really make movies, but nobody really understands them. And there's a reason why there was a night before with tech awards, which I think Channing Tatum and Leonardo DiCaprio's wife from The Wolf of Wall Street, they hosted. And, you know, like, that seemed really interesting. That's actually a show I wouldn't mind watching. Honestly, I wouldn't mind a tech awards only show. And then you have the main Oscars with, you know, musical numbers and actors and actresses and stuff. You know, like, us film nerds might be interested in seeing that. There was one thing, there was an award they mentioned in the tech awards. It was some kind of a 3D pixel. Like a three-dimensional cube that's essentially a pixel, which... it's a fascinating development. I'd love to hear more about it. We don't got time. We got to have Lady Gaga. And, of course, Jennifer Hudson has to sing. I mean, she's been irrelevant for about a decade, but she sang her ass off. And Lady Gaga, she also sang her ass off. She was singing the songs from The Sound of Music. She did a nice little suite. And as much as I was expecting her during the song, because she was singing it straight, to eventually pull off her dress to reveal like a BDSM thing, and then monkeys with chainsaws would rain down from the ceiling, and there'd be explosions and weird Lady Gaga shit. She played it straight. And since she is the new Madonna, I can understand why she's doing this, because she's been so weird that now the weirdest thing she can do is be completely normal and just do a nice send-off to Julie Andrews. And there you are. And did you know that Lady Gaga can really sing? I've known that for a while now, but, you know, unlike Katy Perry, who can't sing, unlike Kesha, who can't sing, unlike even Taylor Swift, who can't sing, Lady Gaga can sing. She's got pipes. Speaking of musical numbers, there was the Everything is Awesome dance and Lego Oscars. That was a highlight of the night for me. I was big on that one. Also, the Glory performance was a very good song. John Legend and Common, they made that for Selma. That was very good. I thought it was way overdone with crowd reactions. I could get David Oyelowo, which I may or may not be pronouncing correctly, though I can't even make a joke about it because Neil Patrick Harris already beat me to it. Fuck. But why was Chris Pine crying over that? What connection do you have to this, Chris Pine? I mean, it's a good song, but man, crocodile tears much. I don't buy it at all, my brother. No. Let the moment be a moment, Chris Pine. I know I've made that reference now twice, but whatever. So here's some issues during the show, of course. You know, I'm just kind of bouncing all around. There's really not much structure. There never is. But, you know, one of the jokes that really could have been good. I mean, we knew it was going to happen. So Idina Menzel or Adele Dazeem has to come out with John Travolta, or as she called him, Trav Travolta, which would have been funny if they did it once, but they had to do it about 4 times. And John Travolta, like, goes way over the top, like, being respectful and helpful of her, like, touching her face. It was really creepy. Like, you know, there's a level of it's funny because, you know, he's obviously faking it. And then there's a level of what is going on here. You know, you can just kind of imagine Turl kidnapping some woman. Turl from Battlefield Earth. And John Travolta, let me interrupt the entire... Stop the show! John Travolta, meet me at microphone 3. Okay, John Travolta, I need to tell you this, because I need to just tell you this personally, man to man, alright? I understand you are my elder. I respect you because you were in Pulp Fiction. You have accomplished much more in your life. In fact, you probably accomplished more at your life at 24 than I did at 24, than I have now. But whatever, you are a great accomplished actor. You've had a very good career and a few really shitty movies like Battlefield Earth. But that's notwithstanding. I just want you to know, John Travolta, you are not fooling anybody. We all know. You could be open about it. We will accept you as one of us. We are a brotherhood. All people are a brotherhood. And we embrace difference. We embrace hidden parts of people just as long as you're open about it. So get that fucking hairpiece off. You are fooling nobody. That is the worst wig I have ever seen. And please stop with all the facial lifts and whatever you're doing. My mom had the best comment about this. She said it looked like you were wearing a John Travolta mask. So Jesus Christ, man, stop it with the fake hair. And whether or not you're gay, I don't care. It's the hair that bothers me. Oh, another thing. Jared Leto is Jesus Christ, apparently. He's Jesus. He was wearing a periwinkle suit with white shoes. He has hair all the way down to his shoulders, and he had a cropped beard. He is the Jesus. Jesus was at the Oscars giving his blessing to, of all people, Arquette. So, yeah. All right. Another thing I had to recommend is Terrence Howard. Because Terrence Howard, during the show, of course, you always have the moment where we have to introduce the Best Picture winners. So Terrence Howard had to do a few movies. Actually, he had all the big ones. The only ones that had a chance of winning, which is Birdman, Boyhood, and Grand Budapest Hotel. So he starts reading what's on the script. And then I think the teleprompter broke. So all of a sudden, Terrence Howard starts floundering. There's a moment of oh God, you can see it in his eyes. And then all of a sudden he starts ad-libbing. It's like, that movie was so moving. Amazing. And it's 2, 3, stalling. And then finally the teleprompter came back and he was able to bring that back. So I have to say, Terrence Howard is a fantastic actor, because if I was in that moment, my reaction would be, oh, fuck. So, ladies and gentlemen, any of you seen Snowpiercer? Chris Evans admits that he eats babies. I would just make something up. I'd just go way off script at this point. This is why you don't want me hosting the Oscars, by the way, for any number of reasons. And, of course, the worst moment of the night, and perhaps the worst moment of any Oscar for a very long time, was Sean Penn introducing Best Picture winner, Alejandro Inarritu. And, of course, he threw in this awful gag, who gave this man a green card? Which I have to believe had to be written by the show's writers. Because, man, was that inappropriate. God damn. Inarritu's the second Mexican to win within 2 years. The guy that did Gravity, he won before. Alejandro... I don't remember his name. Whatever. Looney Tunes shitty production. It's Freelancin. You know not to expect more out of me by now, I'm sure. So, yeah, that was dark. That was a bad joke to throw in. Inarritu managed to save it, at least vaguely, by kind of talking about Mexican immigration and immigration policy. Man, that was not good. Especially in an Oscars as white as this one is, because I was looking over my pictures that I put up for the pre-show. A lot of white people in those pictures. A lot of white people. All the way down the line. White people. So, Sean Penn, he's an arch liberal. And personally, I've always thought that when Sean Penn is not playing a role, he's very charming as Harvey Milk, but Sean Penn himself always just seemed like a scumbag to me. He just seems very unpleasant as a person. He also beat on Madonna. So, yeah. Anyway, I don't think he made up that line. He's a Hollywood liberal through and through, if there's ever been one. And wow, that was way inappropriate. So, let's go away from that best we can. And let's just talk about the winners, okay? So, my predictions were way off. I was wrong throughout this show. I did get Best Picture, Birdman. A lot of people were saying Birdman, so that's not that impressive. I mean, I got Rosanna Arquette, I got J.K. Simmons, I got Graham Moore for adapted screenplay, I got Interstellar for, special effects, but about everything else I was wrong. So I didn't get original screenplay, I did not get director, which went to Inarritu, I thought it'd be Linklater. I didn't get Best Leading Man, which I thought would be Michael Keaton, and I really wished was Michael Keaton, because I love Michael Keaton. He's a great actor. He's been in lots of great movies, including what may indeed be my favorite movie of all time, Batman Returns. So, imagine him from Batman. Let's get crazy. Let's get nuts. I want that guy to have an acceptance speech. Right? That would have been the night for me. Because it's 11:30 and I'm exhausted. I'm barely staying alive. I'm, basically closing my eyes just for breath at this point. And then Eddie Redmayne has to win. Abraxas from Jupiter Ascending won. And I haven't seen The Theory of Everything. I'm sure he's great in it, but man, is it disappointing that we did not get Michael Keaton's acceptance speech. Because think back to McConaughey's speech from last year when he won for Dallas Buyers Club. All right, all right, all right. That was a moment. That's an Oscar moment. Michael Keaton winning, that was a moment. Eddie Redmayne winning is, who cares? Eddie Redmayne's got a long career ahead of him, and I don't think he's ever going to be very interesting at it. Not that I don't like you, Eddie Redmayne. I'm sure you're a fine person. If you ever want to get a beer, I'm here. We can hang out. All right? But you're not Michael Keaton. You never will be. You're just not as interesting at this phase of your career. So now Eddie Redmayne is the Seattle Seahawks of actors. He's already the worst actor of 2015. Abraxas is the worst performance I've seen all year, which means nothing in February, but I can't imagine a performance is going to be worse. Let me do an Abraxas for you. And I don't even know if I'm saying the name right. The fucking Prince of Space. That's what you can call him. He's got some ridiculous name. Wachowski's name. Anyway, so here's Abraxas. Oh, I'd like to thank the Academy for giving me this Oscar for Best Actor. I'll start off really low and then scream. Ugh. Terrible. Really terrible. So, let's talk about Best Actress, which I called not for Julianne Moore, and it was Julianne Moore. That was me trying to be different. A lot of my decisions, I just kind of I didn't want to go and just post the same thing that IndieWire / Critic Wire posted, okay? The pundits were right for the most part, about 100% all the way through, but I want to have my own list, so sometimes I make changes. It's not all go this way. I was way wrong about animated film, by the way. I knew I'd be wrong. I didn't think Big Hero 6 was going to win, though. I didn't. I thought, really... The Tale of Princess Kaguya was one of the best movies of 2014. Just amazing. And that you give it to Big Hero 6. Not that there's anything wrong with Big Hero 6. It's just not remotely even in the same league. So, Julianne Moore won. Back on that. I don't even remember her speech. We'll move on. J.K. Simmons, he has exceptional children, apparently, and he asked me to call my mom, which was difficult to do because I was watching the show with my mom. I watched the Oscars with my mom. I'm okay with this. Rosanna Arquette, she threw in some mention of equal pay for women. This was a bit of a trend throughout the night of politics dropping. They just kind of threw political issues in the middle of their speeches, and I'm okay with this. I don't care. A lot of people were mad about it, but it's fine. It's what the Oscars are. It's what you do. So one of the best speeches of the night actually went to Graham Moore, who completely did not deserve to win for original screenplay because The Imitation Game was a completely safe and plain, just straight up Oscar bait movie. Anyone could have written that movie the way it is written. It has nothing special about it. But Graham Moore gave a great speech. Even so, probably the best speech of the night. The one soundbite I liked about it. Talking about how when he was a teenager, he was gay and it was really difficult to accept himself. And the fact that he was inspired by this story of Alan Turing, this great man who was persecuted in his own way. I'm not saying that Graham Moore was not inspired by Alan Turing, I'm saying, by the way. You can be inspired by anything, but your inspiration sometimes does not add up to either something that is historically relevant or all that interesting of a screenplay. Just saying. So, anyway, his advice for everybody was stay weird. Be yourself. Stay weird. And you know what? I'm fine with that. I will stay weird. In fact, I'll stay weird beginning now. So, yeah. Anyway, Birdman won Best Picture. And almost immediately, the backlash has begun. As, of course, the moment that you win Best Picture, you become instantly plain and lame and stupid and pointless. So immediately the excuse why Birdman won over Boyhood, which is now this just fabulous, original gem that Hollywood was too up its own ass to appreciate because Hollywood just wants to talk about Hollywood. And that's why Birdman won. That's the pundit line right now, which is a weird line for film critics to take, considering what do? We obsess over actors and films and trends in Hollywood. So when a movie is about that very subject, I don't understand why it's lame. I don't get it. This is what our lives are. Do we really have much to say about real life? What do I have to say about relationships? Basically nothing. What do I have to say about superhero films? Well, I think Ant-Man looks like crap, and I could talk for a while about that subject. Okay? Birdman is uncool immediately. And I'm uncool for liking Birdman, which is why I'm pretty sure that Planet Blue is over as an institution. We're done. My favorite movie of 2014 is what the Academy thought was the best movie of 2014. Meaning that my tastes are essentially no different than all those jackasses that love The Artist. Which is just a pathetically boring movie. Or, yeah, I'm basically, Birdman is no better than Shakespeare in Love. Let's be honest right there. Of course, everybody who's complaining about Birdman right now would be complaining just as loud if Boyhood had won. Or just as loud if American Sniper had won. I'm sure they'd find a way to complain even if Selma won. Nobody really complained about 12 Years a Slave, but that was because everybody in the country was kind of doing penance at that point. We were all white people going to church to go and basically wash away our sins by watching that movie. So no one could really... That's why it won. No one could say anything against it. But that's it. That's really all you got. And you know what? Birdman, I don't care what anyone says, alright? I think this is still an original, fascinating, weird, off-kilter movie. Bizarre postmodern pop psychosis. Really have nothing but good things to say about Birdman. I loved this movie. I can't wait to watch it again. It was just fascinating on so many levels. A lot of people looked at it like it was very anti-superhero film, and you could read it that way. In fact, I even think Inarritu wanted it to be anti-superhero film. If anything, I thought it was pro-superhero film, so that's one way you could look at it. I thought it was pro, be yourself, find your artistic vision where you can. Don't try to suck up to hipster credibility. Don't be overly pretentious. Accept your insane parts of your personality, the parts of your personality that just wants to eat popcorn and watch something stupid. Those two parts of you can be brought together, and when you do that, you create something that's more important artistically than anything else. And Boyhood was a great movie. Right? I wouldn't be complaining if Boyhood had won. In fact, I would be more happy if Boyhood had won, because that meant that Birdman could remain this underrated gem from 2014. Instead, now everyone's just going to complain about it. Because the Best Picture movie is always insanely lame. It has to be lame, because it's the establishment. It is the movie. And not many people have seen Birdman. That's because Hollywood doesn't let us watch Birdman. All right? It didn't really release in all that many theaters. And then, of course, Hollywood has the gall to go and complain about superhero films all the time, yet that's all it offers us is superhero movies. I'd love to see some action movies, quality action movies that didn't involve people in capes sometimes, but essentially half the blockbusters that get released have superheroes in them. So I'm a superhero fan now, I guess. This is what happens. There's a reason why, for one, Song of the Sea. Nobody has seen that movie. When I saw it in Manhattan, there was filled with families who loved it. If it had gotten a wide release, kids would like that movie. It's not that kids don't like 2D movies. It's just that Hollywood has decided that we only like 3D movies, and Hollywood complains about it. The whole industry's up its ass. Fuck the Oscars. Burn it all down. Done. Anarchy in the USA. We're all done. Done. Stop the show. Planet Blue's over. Now, oh man, I didn't expect to get so cynical when my favorite movie of the year won. I don't know. You know what? The world's never happy about anything, and I'm never happy about the world. So it's a cycle of negativity that will never end, and I hope you enjoy it. We're all here to entertain you. So, my last thing, just for shits and giggles, I guess, is, alright, I was wrong about this year's Oscars. And I don't really have much of an excuse because I posted my list the day before the Oscars, so I was way up my ass on this one. But I'd just like to go and predict what the Oscars are going to be next year, if you don't mind. Okay? So I am going to go with 10, because there are 10 possible slots. Most likely there will only be 7 or 8, because you can't have all 10. I don't know why not. You know, like, is it too much to ask for Inherent Vice to be nominated for Best Picture? Whatever. So, I'll just run them down right now. In the Heart of the Sea, this is a Ron Howard movie about an 18th century boat that sinks. It's got Ron Howard in it. It's got big names. Probably going to be in there. Joy. This one I'm 100% certain is going to be nominated. This is David O. Russell. He's the director of American Gangster and Silver Linings Playbook, both Oscar-nominated films, working once again with Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence, again, who I think both got nominated twice, and Jennifer Lawrence won. I think Bradley Cooper won at one of these too. So David O. Russell has the formula for getting nominated, essentially. He's getting in. This is happening. Another one I'm 100% certain about is The Hateful Eight. This is Quentin Tarantino's new movie, and the one movie on this list that I'm honestly excited to see. Next up is The Revenant. This is Inarritu, Birdman director. He's making a Western. Interesting. Very interesting. Actually, I might be interested in seeing this one too. And even this one, I'm kind of down. Maybe I'm not as cynical as I thought a minute ago, but this is The Sea of Trees. This is a new Gus Van Sant movie. McConaughey visits the suicide forest in Japan. And things get dark, obviously. Then I'm just going to throw in a Sundance prediction, because why not? I did not see any of the Sundance movies because I was busy being in New Jersey living my boring, awful life. So if you were at Sundance, just know I'm extremely jealous of you, and one day I will have your head. But anyway, Brooklyn, this is the movie. It's an Irish romantic comedy starring Saoirse Ronan. And I know nothing else about it other than everyone loved it. 7 is an untitled Spielberg spy thriller. Well, it's Spielberg. It's getting nominated. That's all you need to know. 8 is Carol. This is the 8th one. This is Cate Blanchett and Rooney Mara, and they are totes lesbians, yo, in the 1960s. And I guess they scissor a bit. I don't know. Steve Jobs. Another Steve Jobs biopic. This one stars Michael Fassbender. Apparently, it's going to be better than the last one. Apparently, Steve Jobs is just the most fascinating human being in the world because he's already has 2, and I think there's a 3rd on the way. Whatever. And the last prediction I'm throwing in is The Queen of the Desert, which is probably the least likely movie to end up, but I have a feeling about this one because Werner Herzog really hasn't gotten many Oscar nods at all. I'd say he's way overdue. And this movie's probably his moment. That's just my guess. I know nothing about any of these movies, just so you know. This list will most likely be completely wrong, but I thought it would just be funny for when the Oscar list is predicted to look back upon this video and realize that, yes, BlueHighwind really is terrible at his job. So anyway, that's the Oscars for you. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I really hope you enjoyed listening to this. Space monkeys, keep on floating through outer space. You'll get a new transmission soon enough. Have a good night.